The angry video game nerd defined my adolescence just as it did many other terminally online kids of the 2000s. This foul-mouthed irate gamer garnered millions of views with one of the most influential productions of early YouTube, with The Gamer from Mars might not even existing without it. Unfortunately, in recent years, conspiracies have swirled around the current state of the channel, with many claiming that the man behind the nerd persona, James Rolfe, has been compromised by those around him, including none other than the person who encouraged him to create the series in the first place, Mike Matei. This man behind the series' now iconic art style has seen his fair share of drama, including accusations of racism, inappropriate jokes, infighting, and showing his wiener on Reddit, leading to many in the community turning on him. Surprisingly though, I haven't seen a comprehensive video on this enigmatic sidekick, and why some so confidently correlate him to the supposed downfall of AVGN. Because of this, I wanted to explore the fascinating story of Mike Matei, and if the hate surrounding him is justified, because through my research, I've actually come to believe it might be the complete opposite case, with the artist not receiving enough credit for the channel's success. But to properly set up this somewhat dysfunctional story, we'll first have to learn a bit about the man behind the nerd persona. But before we go any further, I want to give a big shout out to my sponsor, Surfshark VPN. Using a VPN is like wearing pants. All the important stuff stays private and secure when you step your foot outside. Now, I'm sure every single person watching has seen a promotion for a virtual private network before, so today I'm going to explain why I believe Surfshark is the best. It of course allows you to stay protected while using public Wi-Fi networks, as well as allow you to access censored material in your region, but on top of that, Surfshark gives you access to their service for every single one of your devices within your household. Unlike the competitors, if you have a bunch of different devices from tablets, phones, and computers, you can put it on every single one of them without limit. On top of that, they have over 3,200 servers in 100 different locations to choose from. If you're having any problems, that's perfectly okay. They provide 24/7 customer service that's the top of its class. And if you have any problems whatsoever, you have access to a 30-day money-back guarantee. So to try Surfshark out for yourself, click the link in the description down below. I guarantee you won't regret it. James Rolfe was born July 10th, 1980 in Pennsylvania. Despite this, he spent most of his childhood in New Jersey. From a young age, Rolfe loved to express himself creatively. He first explored making comics before eventually finding his passion in filmmaking. He originally started filming shorts in 1989, though they're probably more accurately described as home movies. These often starred his neighbors and childhood friends, with the earliest efforts being unscripted. As James tried to start writing, his actors often got bored, forgetting their lines and leaving the project. This led Rolfe to start experimenting with puppets and action figures. Throughout high school, Rolfe's mother signed him up for weekend and summer courses at the University of the Arts in Philadelphia. Upon graduating, he enrolled at the college to start filmmaking on a promising artist scholarship. The 19-year-old moved into a dorm, living away from home for the first time. There, he would meet several friends that would go on to become longtime collaborators. The first was Kevin Finn, who most fans will recognize as portraying the Glitch Gremlin. The next was Brendan Castner, better known by his college nickname Bootsy Spankins. As James would put it, "This guy I saw often. He was low-key like me, gentle and kind, but he still knew how to party." Freshman year was chaotic for the aspiring filmmakers. The dorms reflected a rebellious attitude of constant drinking, smoking, and partying. James started filming these antics to create a documentary called IXOV, which he edited over the summer. This is also when he met Kyle Justin, planning to move into an apartment together sophomore year. Justin is known amongst fans as the guitar guy, responsible for the iconic Angry Video Game Nerd theme song. Sadly, James' academics were halted when the dean discovered his tapes, suspending him for a year for his involvement in their disregard of the rules. IXOV has been described as a Jackass-style movie, capturing various instances of arson, vandalism, and other drug-fueled mischief at or around their dorms. Despite most of his movies being freely accessible to the public, this one is noticeably absent, with only a single clip being available online. Its lost media status may be in part due to how devastating it was for James's life. While not engaging in their sometimes criminal roughhousing, he was filming the whole time, and thus held accountable for all the misbehaviors shown in the footage. James's recollection of this period in time is coached in regret, though he tends to downplay his role in encouraging whatever was going on. After all, he can apparently be heard saying in the film, "This video is a ticket to get ourselves kicked out. We don't give a f***. We never got caught and we think it's funny." According to James, he never preserved or digitized the tapes so they could fade alongside the trauma. But this is seemingly contradicted by the aforementioned clip, which shows that at least some excerpts were in fact digitized. Still, I find it a really fascinating piece of lost media. Thankfully, he was allowed to re-enroll the following school year, although the uncertainty caused him a lot of stress. Now in his 20s, the socially awkward student was a hit on campus. Rolf's peers were fascinated by his creative drive, since by that point he had produced 93 homemade films. Bootsy even filmed a documentary about him for class titled Rolf, A No-Budget Dream.
Without my movies, I'm nobody, really.
One night while partying at Bootsy's apartment, Rolf was introduced to his roommate. They initially connected over a photo James brought of himself with rock legend Ozzy Osbourne. But James would end up blacking out after drinking an entire bottle of vodka, leading Bootsy and a friend to carry him back to his apartment. The next day, he went back to retrieve his photo of Ozzy, but Bootsy wasn't home. He would end up hanging out with that roommate instead, bonding over a shared love of video games. They would end up playing together after he noticed his bookshelves of vintage consoles. That roommate's name was Mike Matei. Mr. Matei was born on October 5th, 1980. He grew up in New Jersey and was surrounded by video games his entire life. His first exposure was watching his older sister and an uncle play on an Intellivision when he was just a year old. The sibling eventually got her own Atari 2600, and the two played games like Jungle Hunt, Frogger, and E.T. But they were left with just one controller after a 3-year-old Mike decided to try and fix it with a screwdriver. She came home to the disassembled mess and screamed at him for breaking the Atari. Around this time, his family often went to the roller skating rink, which had a small arcade near the side. Because he was too young to skate, Mike spent his time playing Asteroid, Space Invaders, and Pac-Man. Pac-Man was a particular favorite for him since it had stylish cabinet art. Mike was an avid fan of cartoons, growing up with an adoration for early Looney Tunes. The first console Mike had for himself was the Nintendo Entertainment System at the age of 6. His favorite game was The Legend of Zelda, fondly remembering its unique golden cartridge. It stood the test of time, unlike many of the other games he got for the console, most of which were awful. As an aside, around 1993, he became a huge fan of David Letterman and sent in a letter that actually got read on TV.
Letter numero cuatro.
Numero cuatro.
Exactly. Here we go. Dear Dave, why does every talk show have a city skyline in the back? Sincerely, Mike Matei.
With all that said, Mike's main passion was art. Through high school, he dreamed of being an animator and eventually enrolled at the University of Arts in Philadelphia to study the medium. It wasn't long before Mike and Bootsy started to appear in James's student films. The former was down for anything, even willing to be covered in fake feces. This began the relationship as both close collaborators and friends, assembling a makeshift team of local aspiring filmmakers. In the words of James, "Most of my social time was spent playing video games and drinking at Mike and Bootsy's apartment. Sometimes our friend Lucas was there. We played all kinds of video games, new and old. We had the best times playing the older ones, like NES games, while reminiscing on our childhoods. We noticed a lot of flaws in games that we forgave as kids. We'd get on a roll, tearing these games apart and laughing our asses off. Next thing, I'd be shouting random things like shit soup and shit God. My friends cracked up over it, so I had to keep topping myself. Shitload of fuck. Soon, they were rolling on the floor howling. Rolf graduated college in 2004, earning his bachelor's degree in the fine arts. Despite this, it was a dark period for the movie-making nerd. It was during senior year he began dating his first girlfriend, but after graduating she broke up with him and immediately started seeing someone else. James recounted feeling emotionally destroyed to the extent he stopped caring about his movies. As the summer began, his drinking increased as a result of the heartbreak. At the advice of a friend, he got a job to distract him from his sorrows, finding work at a liquor store. But being surrounded by alcohol only made him want to drink even more. I'd buy beer and wine to drink alone in my room. I didn't care. I just let myself go. One night, I decided I'd drink a lot of hard liquor and lay down on the railroad tracks. What was I thinking? Was I actually planning to let a train run me over? In all likelihood, I would have probably just gone up. But a neighbor friend came over and dragged me away. It was pathetic. And it was terrible I put anyone in that situation. In this time of depression, he finally decided to make a new movie, but not like what he usually did. Now alone in his room, quote, chugging Rolling Rocks, he wanted to make something silly and dumb. After rediscovering some old NES games, he decided to take his frustration out on so-called classics. Rolf started filming gameplay off his VCR and wrote commentary channeling those college days of past.
This game sucks.
This first video covering Castlevania II: Simon's Quest was entirely voiceover. Shortly after, he borrowed a copy of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde from Mike.
He was laughing because I had a copy of it, because I had a lot of garbage NES games. I had like Rocky and Bullwinkle and just total crap games. So he borrowed it from me. And then the next time I saw him, like a week later or something, a few days later, he showed me that video. And I'm like, oh, you made a video? I didn't know he was gonna make a video.
This time he appeared on camera, establishing the look of the nerd. While consciously playing a character, it reflected reality as he was genuinely depressed. He drank a six-pack of Rolling Rock in less than an hour before filming the second episode.
With Simon's Quest, you heard the sincerity in my voice, but now see the sincerity in my eyes. This game is horrible! It's horrible. Pong is better, and Pong is only like 3 lines in a ball. It makes no fucking sense.
James copied both videos onto VHS tapes labeled Bad NES Games, and gave them to Mike and Bootsy. They both loved it and began circulating them amongst friends. But that was where he expected it to end, a one-off gag. Shortly after this, Kyle would help introduce him to an art student named April, who went on to become his wife and the eventual mother of his children. During this time, Mike began to lose interest in animation. The process was quite arduous and unrewarding, something he hadn't anticipated. Additionally, with the success of Pixar, the industry began to veer away from traditional 2D styles in favor of 3D. Still taking an interest in storytelling and comedy, Mike would start to favor comics instead, taking inspiration from underground comic artists like Robert Crumb. The culmination of this would be The Loco Bandito, a series of over-the-top comics playing off offensive stereotypes. The Loco Bandito in Careful Where You Stick That Thing by Mike Matei. Hey, looky what Chuck brought for you. Wow, a huge package of cocaine. Charles Nelson Riley, you sir are God's gift to the earth. That's what my mommy used to call me. Nuh-uh, huh. Snort, snort. Hot damn, I feel like I could fuck a bus. One step ahead of you. Her. Ha ha ha. Ha. This was a bus full of N-words. Now you have AIDS. For the record, this type of humor is in line with what you'd typically find in underground comics of yesteryear. Obviously, they're still offensive, but to play devil's advocate, it's clearly meant to be exaggerated to the point of absurdity, rather than reflecting any of Mike's actual views. These were published to their own website online in 2004, although it seemed to be a short-lived endeavor. In the comments of an unrelated blog, Mike remarked, "I draw the Loco Bandito when I feel like it, and I haven't really felt like it. Besides, I'm too lazy to manage a website. I tried getting it published, but no one had the balls. So whatever, I'll just draw Zelda and be happy." Skipping forward a bit to 2006, James and Mike had found jobs editing corporate videos. On the side, James kept making movies, some serious, others sillier in tone. He would submit these to film festivals, but rarely got a response. Then, one day, Mike introduced him to a brand new website called YouTube. It was a game changer, letting you upload videos for free to a large audience. After a 2-year break, James decided to bring back the nerd character one last time to close out the trilogy. It was more cinematic, combining the styles of the first two together to create a fresh new format, using various camera angles and including skits like pretending to smash his head with a kitchen cabinet to show how mad he was over an old game.
Well, let me be honest with you about this one. Ooh boy, I hate this game. I mean, it makes me want to kill myself.
Centered around Karate Kid for the NES, Mike loved it. In fact, he loved it so much he created accounts on YouTube and Facebook for the character. The James Nintendo Nerd channel was conceived April 6, 2006. He quoted Mike Matei as saying, "I'm going to make you famous, James." Mike subsequently brought over his own collection of bad NES games, encouraging him to do more. Rolf was reluctant, but upon seeing the glowing reception to those first 3 episodes, agreed to continue on. His next video covering Who Framed Roger Rabbit overperformed, and the 4th criticizing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles garnered him mainstream attention. Just a year later, his channel had a total of over 3.6 million views and 70,000 subscribers, making him the 10th most popular user on the platform.
He's the angriest gamer you've ever heard. He's the angry Nintendo nerd. He's the angry video game nerd.
It's hard to understate just how influential AVGN was. The series shaped an entire generation of YouTubers, trailblazing the angry reviewer genre. He was the first to truly tap into that nostalgic fan base for these old games. The show slowly grew more ambitious, indulging more and more into Rolf's passion for filmmaking. Mike started drawing the title cards early on, and eventually acted in episodes as costumed guest characters. His first appearance was in their review of Friday the 13th as Jason Voorhees, but he's perhaps most well known for his role as Bugs Bunny in the episode about Bugs Bunny's birthday blowouts, where he gets beat up and defecated on in a hilarious slapstick fashion.
I can't believe it, in my own house, it's Bugs Bunny! Bugs fucking Bunny!
Another notable role Matei had was playing the Joker in the Nerd's 2-part Batman review.
That's it. That's all the Batman games I can take. Review's over.
Batman! Batman, you wanna play a really shitty Nintendo game, Batman? What, how that Return of the Joker on the Nintendo Entertainment System, Batman?
I'm not really Batman, though.
He also drew the niche fan favorite character, Pickle.
Hey, come here.
No, not there.
Pickle.
Hey, tell them your name.
Pickle.
Yeah, this is Pickle.
While his on-screen appearances are the most obvious contributions, Mike actually helped a lot more throughout the series' golden age than people realize. Just as they had in college, the two would often play the games together before writing. Many of the Nerd's riffs and critiques derived from things Mike would say during this process. By the TMNT episode, he was recording much of the gameplay and provided more detailed breakdowns as to why those games didn't work. In addition to creating the channel, he helped manage Cinemassacre's online presence. He was also active on forums like Atari Age, making him privy to stories James wasn't aware of, like the mass burial of unsold Atari cartridges at a New Mexico landfill. It's worth emphasizing that at this stage, there was little to no money involved. When AVGN first debuted, YouTube didn't have any forms of monetization. As the channel took off, traffic to the Cinemassacre website began to reach the millions, forcing James to foot massive bills every month he'd have to pay off with his day job. They were doing it out of sheer love for the fans. This changed upon signing to Game Trailers, who offered to pay them in exchange for exclusivity of the series. Under this contract, all new episodes of AVGN were to premiere on their site first, and after a year could be uploaded to YouTube. In 2007, James conceived Cinemassacre's first ever Monster Madness, a month-long event for Halloween where he'd review a new horror movie every day. It was a passion project, born from his lifelong love of the genre. After managing to get it done in between his day job and nerd videos, Mike offered to help edit so he could do it annually. This turned into his first formal gig at Cinemassacre, helping him get a grasp of editing online content. As time went on, James started to suffer from burnout. This led Mike to take on a larger role in AVGN's production. Mike began writing entire episodes, including the Zelda timeline and Superman videos. Despite this, Mike declined to take credit for nearly all of this work. As a result, until very recently, most failed to recognize his importance to the series, when in fact it likely wouldn't exist without him. I specifically asked not to be credited early on. I grew up reading Walt Disney comics. They were written and drawn by a bunch of artists, but the front of the book said Walt Disney real big. So I told James he would look like a miracle worker if it appeared he did everything himself. James actually was urging me to back then. That's not to discredit James's own importance to the show. It seems within their dynamic, James was more focused on the filmmaking side while Mike provided his video game experience. This all helped to explain the disillusionment many fans felt upon realizing James doesn't seem to care as much about gaming as his character would imply. In 2009, Rolf started a new series called Board James, in which the titular character reviews, well, old board games. In the third episode, Mike makes his first appearance on the channel as himself, nicknamed Mike for being a, quote, cheating bastard.
Wait, where'd you get all those balls? What are you talking about? You had more balls than me. There's a bunch of balls behind you on the floor. They shot past you. But, you asshole!
Mike appears in nearly all subsequent Board James episodes. They're eventually joined by Bootsy Spankins, dubbed Bad Luck Bootsy. A personal favorite of mine is the Shark Attack episode.
Come on. Really, guys? This is a really simple game. Why can't we just play a board game? It's not funny! Like, this is the most dysfunctional group of friends I've ever had. Like, you're over here cheating, you're over here trying to make love with the damn shark. I'm bored, I want to play a board game, and you're pissing me off! You guys! What the hell is your guys' problem?
By January 2011, the Cinemassacre channel amassed 500,000 subscribers. That month is also when Mike appeared on his first solo video, How to Jump Over the Flagpole on stage 1-1 in Super Mario Bros. The video actually did quite well, garnering 1.2 million views. As a result, it would evolve into his own spin-off series called Mike's Game Glitches.
Today I'm going to show you some tricks and glitches in Super Mario 64.
Let's go! It's me! I'm a f***ing cheater! Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo!
Viewers of the channel up until this point had quite a positive view of Matei, although over the next few years things began to change. It started to go downhill in late 2011 when James announced he would begin attempting to crowdfund a feature-length film for the angry video game nerd. The Indiegogo campaign launched on October 16th with a goal of $75,000. It was to be co-written and directed by his old friend Kevin Finn. The campaign ended on February 2nd, 2012, collecting a total of $325,000. With that, Rolf left for California to start pre-production, with filming beginning 2 months later. Given James would be busy for the foreseeable future, Mike was left in charge of the channel. It was also their final year on game trailers, so a number of videos had yet to premiere on YouTube, but there was still going to be a significant deficit of content. So to help keep the channel alive, Mike began creating his own reviews. This change was welcome at first. As seen with his Game Glitches series, he was able to provide insight on familiar topics. But not everyone was thrilled about getting someone they didn't subscribe to flooding their feed. The shift led the channel to start bleeding subscribers, and over time many felt Mike started to wear out his welcome. You see, most of the videos by Mike that were well regarded were played fairly straight. For example, his review of the Draw Something iPad app felt earnest and enabled him to talk about art. The problem started when he tried tapping into the same type of humor that made the angry video game nerd so popular. The first misfire was his now infamous review of the film Elmo in Grouchland.
He's got his mustache and her Cookie Monster's looking in the window and Gordon's eating her and Gordon's like, I'll show you how to eat a cookie. Ah!
Throughout, he does several obnoxious impressions of Elmo that didn't land at all.
Where's Elmo's blanket? That
Zoe ripped it! Just like I'm gonna rip her head off later tonight when everybody's asleep.
I hate Elmo. The blanket is his rag, and he jacks off onto it.
The video was so poorly received that he disabled ratings and hid negative comments before ultimately deleting it from the channel altogether. Many took offense at the idea of him wearing pajamas in James's house, which I don't entirely understand.
By the way, I like the fact that he wore pajamas during the review while he was at James's house. I don't know. For some reason, that just struck me as weird. Anyway.
You in your pajamas?
No.
What are you recording?
They're your pajamas.
My pajamas? Why are you recording the video in my pajamas?
I don't have any clothes.
Regardless, Mr. Matei didn't take this well and began copyright striking re-uploads. Of course, this incident couldn't compare to his next and far more infamous misfire. On May 11th, Mike uploaded Minecraft with Gadgets, a video where he plays the iOS port of the game with an animated version of Inspector Gadget. For some reason, in the video, Gadget, also voiced by Matei, has trouble pronouncing the game's name, repeatedly calling it Minecraft. He eventually starts repeating the line, "I love to build brown bricks with Minecraft."
I love building bricks with Minecraft.
Once again, due to the overwhelmingly negative response, it was quickly taken down. However, due to how bizarre and one-note the gag was, the phrase brown bricks was quickly adopted by trolls. This continued even as Mike worked diligently to strike down any and all re-uploads of the video. As a result, the pairing of Mike and Gadget became popular amongst detractors looking to mess with him.
This is Inspector Gadget, and I enjoy building brown bricks in Minecraft.
Many parodies would arise over the following years, usually contained to 4chan until they started breaking containment around early 2017. These would include various edits on the meme channel Siva Gunner, as well as Minecraft without Gadget.
Hey everybody, I'm here with my good friend Inspector Gadget. How you doing, Inspector Gadget? Okay, alright, well, Inspector Gadget's gonna do the review.
A notable turning point was its mention by Chris O'Neill on his Let's Play channel Oni Plays. There are so many references, it was enough to make a 12-minute compilation of just brown bricks jokes.
Brown bricks in Minecraft.
Brown brick. Keep me safe, brown mask. Pull him, bigger.
Oh my god. Brown mask in Minecraft.
Be careful.
Brown bricks with brown people.
Brown people in real life. I like how the bricks look. They look real.
Can't talk about bricks on this show.
That's true, you can't.
Rat bricks and ukulele.
Despite some early setbacks, in the period Mike began posting his own content, Cinemassacre would gain an additional 500,000 subscribers, reaching the 1 million milestone in March of 2013. The Angry Video Game Nerd movie released a year later to mixed reviews. It was a major departure from the series and what fans had come to expect, seemingly more in line with what James wanted to do as an aspiring filmmaker rather than what audiences wanted to watch. Fittingly, none of his friends who appeared in the show had major roles, though Mike and the guitar guy, Kyle Justin, make a brief cameo. Mike also appeared as a playable character in the official tie-in game Angry Video Game Nerd Adventures, wielding a red lightsaber and having the ability to see through certain blocks. It's an all-around pretty decent platformer, though I feel the sequel is much better. And following the release of the film, James and Mike returned to working together on the channel. They began a new series called James and Mike Mondays, which was far better received than anything Gadget or Elmo related. Mike gradually earned a fan base among the audience. However, it would be far from the end of the controversy surrounding his involvement on the channel, with the next somehow being even more bizarre.
I have a feeling Mike Matei is going to take what I say personally. I don't know why, but so because of that, I'm going to say, where is he? You have a nice face, and I hear you have a huge dick. So, I'm just kidding. That's ridiculous. All right.
That clip is from the roast of the Angry Video Game Nerd, held by Silver Mania in August 2013. While most at the time surmised it was just a joke, in late 2014 a persistent rumor emerged in the comments on Cinemassacre videos that Matei had a large member. This only seemed to grow in notoriety as fans started scrutinizing photos of him, staring at his pants and noting how big the bulge was. The rumors spread like wildfire across websites like TV Tropes, Encyclopedia Dramatica, Reddit, and eventually Tumblr, all dead set on trying to figure out how big his wiener was. Mike didn't deny it, instead publicly confirming they were right on Twitter. The secret has been out. You have a 12-inch dick. LOL, perhaps so, but that's not tomorrow's review. Now, if this is where things had ended, we probably wouldn't be talking about it right now. Okay, we probably still would, but the way it escalated from here was nothing short of insane. As time kept on marching forward, word continued to spread of Mike's massive shaft, until Mr. Matei decided to take things one step further. On April 5th, 2015, he replied to a user on Twitter with a real picture of his pecker next to a measuring tape with the caption, "Nah, 10 inches." If that wasn't enough, Mike would post the image again, this time on the official Cinemassacre subreddit, using the official Cinemassacre account. The second instance took place on December 14th, 2015, in a thread titled, "Comments About Me." Unsurprisingly, the user base was aghast and mostly in disbelief at what he had done. Please tell me this is a joke. I tried reverse image searching it and nothing came up. Mike, for the love of God, do not tell me you took a picture of your erect wiener and posted it to the Cinemassacre subreddit because of a gag about your dick size. I did actually. People just keep bringing it up, so hopefully that ends the speculation. Mike, you didn't need to do this. Well, I get comments and emails every day about it. The thread was eventually deleted, though not for the reasons you might expect. Several users pointed out he might be fudging the perspective by holding his wiener above the tape measure. According to a former mod of the subreddit, it was only after these comments came in that he deleted the thread. This was far from the only time he addressed the subject on official Cinemassacre accounts. He had done so in YouTube comments as well as their Tumblr several times. But this was particularly egregious as it was a subreddit for the general audiences, yet contained an uncensored photo of an erect penis. In light of the backlash, Mike started banning any and all discussions of the event. Mind you, he didn't stop posting about his shaft on official accounts. He just started banning people pointing out the issue with what he did. For example, this questionable post was made long after the incident on Reddit. 2 hours of doggy style and going again. Load was fucking huge. Mike, titty fucking now. 2016 saw another humiliating moment for Mike in the form of his drunk Mario stream. This VOD was also scrubbed from the internet, becoming lost media. The only clip that survives is a 4-minute excerpt by Ninkendog in which he talks about Dr. Seuss and vaguely rants about the internet.
The internet. I've seen it all. Impress me. Impress me, internet. You can't. Oh! You're gonna fucking be like, ooh, Mike fucking said something stupid when he was playing Mario Brothers. Yeah.
According to the uploader, the stream lasted 2 hours, with the beginning being way worse. Witnesses recall a moment where chatters spammed ham salad, leading him to scream the phrase multiple times. He also is quoted as saying, "Nobody plays real games anymore. I play real games. I've been doing this since I was 12. If you'll recall, late 2016 is also around when the Inspector Gadget video became a widespread meme, so the scrutiny might have been getting to him. As more mockery and criticism of AVGN and the people surrounding it surfaced in this era, the final blow came in the form of Bad Luck Bootsy's departure from Cinemassacre. The fallout began in January of 2016, when Mike started a new series called Mike and Bootsy, where the college friends played retro games together. After a year of weekly uploads, the series abruptly stopped on December 25th. Then on January 6, 2017, Bootsy revealed on Twitter there were no plans to continue. His sudden withdrawal fueled speculation, leading Cinemassacre to make a post on Reddit acknowledging he would no longer be on the channel. For Mike and Bootsy, we did it through 2016 and it was a lot of fun. Bootsy is a great guy, but we are moving in a different direction. He does some great music and I'm sure it will be a good album. You can find his music work here. Thanks, Mike. This came in the midst of already swirling controversies, and with Mike in control of the main subreddit, users began looking for a place to express their grievances freely. The result was a new subreddit called The Cinemassacre Truth, which has gone on to become the main hub for the channel's detractors. As a result, awareness of these previously overlooked scandals finally began to spread. One notable discovery was evidence the photo Mike posted of his schlong may not have been his own after all. After reverse searching the image, a user discovered it originated from a Tumblr blog called Measure Up. The post is dated January 2015, 3 months before Mike claimed it was his own. It's worth noting the image was anonymously submitted, meaning there's a small chance he could be the one who sent it out for himself, but no one can be sure. On May 30th, 2017, Mike made a post to the official Cinemassacre subreddit addressing some of his major controversies for the first time. This included the Inspector Gadget video, admitting for the first time that the parodies were funny. I figured it was my video and I didn't really want it out there, so I took the re-uploads down. I can see now, in retrospect, I shouldn't have and it doesn't matter. Recently, some people have gone on to make music parodies of the video, and some of them are actually pretty well done. Anyway, maybe that's what it took. A well-done parody to make me see I was in the wrong there. So I'm over it. If people want to rewatch that terrible video or make parodies of it, more power to them. Have fun. This did reflect in how he treated the video, eventually re-uploading both the Gadget and Elmo and Grouchland episodes to one of Cinemassacre's channels. Sadly, his response to the more serious issues were less than satisfactory. His statement regarding Bootsy only raised more questions than answers. This is something that really is just between him and I don't think it's everyone's business, frankly. But what I will say is that I don't have a problem with him. I just decided to move on. It was never my intention for us to do Let's Play videos together until the end of time. At some point, shows end. The videos we recorded were fun and we had a good run, but I got tired of it. He's a great gamer and a great musician. I wish him well with that. He then addresses a controversy regarding the subreddit's moderation. While he acknowledges regretful posts made by official Cinemassacre accounts, he doesn't take much accountability. Yes, we've been trying to strong-arm posts with a lot of the trash talk. Some of the memes about the Minecraft video are funny, but others are made to be harassing. I think we can agree it's in the board's best interest not to post the Mike's dong stuff, zooming in on bulges or any such extremely off-topic stuff like that. The problem here is that Mike goes back and forth between telling people not to talk about it and then playing into it to the point of posting his alleged wiener publicly. I feel like you can't have it both ways, and the phrasing here removes his own responsibility in keeping the meme going. As the months went by, it became clear the hate wasn't dying down. But Mike still had some defenders, with one such thread being created on June 1st. The following post was made by a user named Elvis8Atari. Listen, there is a lot going on right now, and I fully understand that. Mike has been going through a rough patch and has made decisions that are difficult to defend. But he deserves some respect and sympathy from the subreddit and not an overabundance of insults. I understand he did something wrong, but if he's going through a tough time, which he is, you should be supportive and help him get over it. I'm just a loyal Cinemassacre fan and don't know him in real life, but I can tell you he wouldn't appreciate whatever you're trying to do to invalidate his character. Let this petty drama go so he can get over this rough patch in peace. Thanks, Elvis8Atari. The user made identical posts with this message on both AVGN and the Cinemassacre Truth. Unsurprisingly, most of the community disagreed, leading to back and forths in the replies. Many even began accusing the user of being Mike himself, which Elvis8Atari seemed to take personally. No, I'm not Mike. As I've said before, I am a loyal fan of Cinemassacre. I'm so fucking sick of this. If you don't care about Mike, don't watch his videos. It's that simple. Don't attempt to defame him or make him out to be worse than he is just because he posted a damn picture. He apologized for that already and admitted he hadn't made the right decision, so you should have let that go prior to me even making this thread. But these exchanges were cut short when a commenter claimed to have proof Elvis Ate Atari was, in fact, Mike Matei. As it turns out, simply Googling the username revealed Mike had used the alias online for over a decade. They were able to link him to several accounts on retro gaming forums, as well as an old GeoCities page that definitively proved it was him. This was uncovered at around 12 p.m. UTC, and 2 hours later the Elvis Ate Atari Reddit account was deleted. Before wiping their account, the individual left one final message. "I'm deleting this account now. Since people want to play dirty and make wild accusations about me rather than attempt to understand my point of view, there's no point in me remaining here and attempting to explain why Mike shouldn't be continuously attacked." This revelation blew up the situation even further, with the post being made on subreddit Drama about it. Further digging revealed that Mike had also used the pseudonym to trash talk other reviewers. The first example was Chris Bors, aka Irate Gamer, which many felt was a blatant ripoff of AVGN. Irate Gamer sucks, end of story. It's just one small example of many of how Irate Gamer fans will do anything to try and prove IG came up with an idea before AVGN. Wait, did I say his fans? I meant to say Chris Bors himself as a fake account. Irate Gamer equals fail. That last line is the most mid-2000s roast of all time. Another diss was aimed at Alexander4488, also known as the Game Dude, who is better known nowadays for getting sued over stalking an ex-girlfriend and going off the mental deep end. Jesus, enough, nobody cares. Noticed how you have 2 posts in a row? Go do something else. In case there was still any doubt, one exchange lined up perfectly with an episode of AVGN from 2008 where Mike appears as a Klingon. Old Yahoo posts reveal Mike originally commissioned a costume from someone's great-grandmother, only to stiff them and go elsewhere because they were taking too long. A Klingon without honor. I would advise anyone dealing with this man to collect all funds before supplying any product. My friend was too trusting. She is struggling to support her family and cannot afford this kind of setback. Finally, online sleuths uncovered the Loco Bandito, a discovery that would cement Elvis Ate Atari in internet infamy. The Loco Bandito remains one of the longest-running memes amongst his detractors. It's still their subreddit's icon to this very day. Most people have no frame of reference as to what underground comics were and interpreted it in the worst possible light. Regardless, the fallout had a Streisand effect where all of Mike's scandals became more publicly known. For example, a former mod of the Cinemasker subreddit made a YouTube video titled "The Inappropriate Sexual Behavior and Horrific Racism of Cinemasker's Mike Matei." It garnered over 200,000 views, although the Cinemasker Truth claims it has several inaccuracies. Since the ordeal, many of the links archiving their discoveries have been removed, and thelocobandito.com is now excluded from the Internet Archive. Throughout it all, the question that remained among the diehard truthers was over what exactly happened to Bootsy. Many assumed it was related to some kind of business disagreement. Just as he's done with previous scandals, all questions about Bootsy were deleted. In March of 2019, Mike would finally make a Reddit post addressing the issue directly. In short, we were not getting along. I personally did not want to continue doing a show and pretend I was getting along when I was not. I know everyone liked him, and for good reason. He was funny and great at games. Some have suggested that he was not paid for his editing work with the Let's Plays, but he was. Stopping the Let's Play show wasn't about money. I do want to say I handled the situation incredibly poorly, and if I had to do it over, I would handle it totally differently. That I am sorry about. I was upset at the time and should have gone about the separation differently. As to why I censored comments about it, the whole thing is upsetting to me and basically, I just didn't want to hear about it. As said, we were friends since the 4th grade. And it was a painful experience for both of us. Most of the immediate comments were supportive, giving him props for transparency. But things were complicated when Bootsy himself began responding to Mike's claims. I'll just say that his actions are entirely responsible for the falling out, and it's surreal to see people comfort and congratulate him. Wish I wasn't forced to deal with this publicly, no choice. He eventually wrote out a more elaborate response on Reddit in hopes of clearing up rumors. Simply put, I had a number of long-standing concerns that grew during my time there. These problems worsened to the point where it became extremely personal, and to the point where I felt it was necessary to directly express my dissatisfaction. These concerns were met with confrontation and disagreement, and as Mike has accurately stated, it was difficult to imagine moving forward after that. If I appear to be agitated by this, it's because it's hard not to be. I considered myself a loyal friend for 20 plus years who was working hard to contribute consistent entertainment to a channel that I cared deeply about, for fans that I still care about. Mike's answer to Bootsy's post came 2 days later. He clarified that just like Bootsy, he never received compensation for DVD sales aside from James and Mike Mondays. Other than that, he mostly just affirmed what Bootsy was saying and seemed more focused on dispelling speculation. We were in disagreement about many things. There were differences of opinion, so I decided to put an end to the arguments before it got even worse. It seems he and I both would like to put this mess behind us. As he said, that was all he had to say about the matter. I know neither one of us like this sort of drama, and I'm sorry it had to come to that. It's worth pointing out neither Mike or Bootsy truly contradicted each other, and respected the other's wishes to keep the issue private. They both confirmed it had nothing to do with money, and stemmed purely from personal disagreements. At the end of the day, that sort of fallout is none of our business, no matter how much some parasocial Redditors want to believe otherwise. The only reason it became such a reoccurring issue is because of how Mike chose to handle it, censoring discussion instead of answering things honestly. This is a pattern for nearly all of his controversies, from his repression of the Brown Bricks incident to his behavior that led to the creation of the Cinemassacre Truth subreddit. Over time, it seems Mike came to realize this, and later that year he would also publicly acknowledge and apologize for the Loco Bandito. I am very sorry if any of those comics offended anyone. I did them over a decade ago and stopped making them of my own will before anyone ever really read them. It was intended to be a shock comic, but my writing ability was very poor and I knew it. Which is why I stopped. Around 2015, Cinemassacre was acquired by Screenwave Media, and over time the channel became progressively more corporate. Recognizable faces like Kyle Justin and Bootsy faded from view, as names like Justin Silverman and Ryan Schott took their place. That even seemed to include James himself, whose voice seemed to be less and less present in his own work. It became clear that new outside help had been hired to write AVGN, as well as once personal series like Monster Madness. The latter faced controversy when one of the writers was caught plagiarizing someone else's review. James and Mike Mondays ended in 2020, slowly usurped by series such as Rental Reviews, which often featured none of the original Cinemassacre crew except James. Now the father of 2 children, it's hard to blame James for this, as he clearly views it now as a job to support his family. He also now prioritizes having a good work-life balance, something many YouTubers don't have, including him during the early stages of his career. Unfortunately, being less involved in the company has taken much of the charm out of the content, with old fans looking back nostalgically at the pre-AVGN movie era, myself included. That December, Mike officially left the company to focus on streaming full-time. He was intentionally quiet as not to make a big deal out of it, but rampant speculation eventually led him to elaborate. Yeah, nobody stops to think that maybe things are more complicated than that. There are like 90 reasons I stopped doing the AVGN title cards. And there are like 90 reasons I stopped doing James and Mike Mondays. When enough issues mount up, it's like, time to stop doing this thing. Most of the reasons were related to issues with YouTube itself, as well as logistical problems like a 2-hour commute and filming amidst the pandemic. In the meantime, Mike has done well for himself on Twitch, growing his own audience streaming games. Occasionally, he'll even have James on stream if he has time for it. With how much the Cinemassacre channel's identity has changed in recent years, many have come around on Mike, especially as his importance to the golden age of AVGN became more clear. That's not to say the backlash against him was entirely unwarranted. A lot of his behavior was downright bizarre and needed explanation. But the perception many had of him being this useless hanger-on was simply not true. In a way, Mr. Matei is just as much the man behind the nerd persona as James. Mike played a vital role in shaping the angry video game nerd as it is today, and in the end he fulfilled his promise to James all those years ago of making him famous. As he put it, looking back, I'm sure the channel would have survived without me doing that, but I wasn't sure, and I figured a year of no videos was a pretty bad idea. So I had to put my face on this channel where everyone expected to see James, which created a lot of people that didn't like me. Regardless, like I said, it all worked out. I'm retired, I can't complain.